9 to 5s really suck, and just because a TikTok girl says it sucks doesn't mean that it's wrong, you know? Like, yeah, maybe some people complain about it a little too hard or complain about it in the wrong way.
I don't like that.
But recently, there's this very similar demographic to last week. There's a woman in marketing complaining about like working and stuff like that. But honestly, I kind of feel for this person, and I feel like they got a little bullied because she did not have the same sense of entitlement as the person from last week. First, why do you even think I'm in the position I'm in, where I really tried my hardest to retire and quit the rat race as fast as I could? It was because I hated my job. I hated 9 to 5s and I hated corporate America. The difference is, instead of complaining about it all day, I just like did something about it. But let's see exactly what she's saying first.
I know I'm probably just being so dramatic and annoying, but this is my first job, like my first 9 to 5 job after college, and I'm in person, and I'm commuting in the city, and it takes me fucking forever to get there. There's no way I'm gonna be able to afford living in the city right now, so that's off the table. Like, fucking duh! If I was able to walk to work, and it'd be fine.
So I had an issue with my commute too. So I lived in Washington, D.C., and my job was supposed to be in Washington, D.C. But the thing is, I was a consultant, so you get put on like random projects, and the projects could be literally within anywhere that's like an hour for some reason. But I had this delusion that I'd probably be in DC because that's like the most centralized area. If you're thinking of like, where should I live if my job's going to be within like a 1 hour radius of a city? Probably being in the city would be a good idea, right? So I got a place in the city, and then it so happens that my project happened to be an hour away. And granted, that's luck of the draw, right? Some people got better ones, some people got ones that were really close, but unlucky, right? So I hated that immediately. But what really pissed me off is that I complained about the situation. I was like, hey, I don't even have a car. How am I supposed to even get there? Because it's not even accessible by public transportation. They told me too bad, but that wasn't what pissed me off. What pissed me off was that at the place where I was complaining, which was a forum of like 10 of my peers and then like the hiring manager and one person that they brought in who was supposed to like be our like mentor or whatever. The only problem was that this mentor, first of all, only 2 years older than us, but they were a partner's son. So what this person did was he got a place in Baltimore and then he magically got a project in Baltimore. I wonder how he managed to get that figured out. Was it because his dad was literally one of the higher ups at this firm? I don't know, probably, right? So I was already like so pissed at that point, right? Because I have this like really privileged kid just like saying like, yeah, suck it up, when he didn't have to suck it up. So that sucks, right? Nepotism happens, it's like whatever. But what that did is it gave me the drive to just drop everything I was doing. I actually went into my job thinking I'd like try really hard, try to get promoted, do all that. But now I was just thinking, how do I suck out as much money out of my company while doing the least amount of work possible while still getting promoted to suck out more money? But that's essentially what I did. I kind of mastered that, I would say. There was a time where I was 4 years into the company, I got my second big promotion, and one of the like newer people was like, hey, how did you do that? Because I had this reputation of being really lazy. Yeah, there are ways to just take advantage of the system, do as little as possible to get as much as possible, and I kind of just mastered that. However, back to the commute. When I went to the first day of work, I complained to my boss about the commute, and I was throwing a fit, right? I was being like as immature as this person. And what really stuck with me was my boss saying, I didn't force you to take this job. And I responded to that like, yeah, but you tell me my job's supposed to be in a place, and then I planned my whole life around moving to this place, and then you just put me in the middle of nowhere, which I still think is kind of bullcrap. But he did have a point. No one forced me to take this job, and I feel like I did everything in my power to make this as smooth as possible. But the person in the video, they chose to take the job, and then despite it not paying enough to live near work, they chose to live far away. So I can't feel the same for this person as I do for me. Maybe that's my bias coming out because I'm seeing life through like my lens. Obviously, I'm going to be on my side, right? But I feel like I did everything in my power that I could, whereas this person could have just taken a different job or just not work there.
I leave here like I get on the train at 7:30 and I don't get home till like 6:15 earliest, and then like I don't have time to do anything. I want to shower, eat my dinner, and go to sleep. I don't have time or energy to cook my dinner either. Like, I don't have energy to work out. Like, that's out the window. Like, I'm so upset.
Yeah, I was pretty upset too. Like, yeah, I was leaving early, coming back late, and I did have time to cook. So I don't know why she doesn't have time to cook. She said she comes back at 6:15 early. So let's say she comes back 6:45 every day. You have time to cook. When do you go to bed? Like 10 or something like that, 12? And then like you have a lot of hours between then. Like you definitely could go to the gym, you definitely could cook, and you definitely can shower. So I don't know, maybe horrible at time management.
Oh my God. Nothing to do with my job at all, but just like the 9 to 5 schedule in general is crazy. Being in the office 9 to 5, like if it was remote, you get off at 5 and you're home and everything's fine. But like I'm not home. It takes me long to get home, and like people that drive to the office, like you don't get off at 5.
That's very true. Let's take a look at the 9 to 5. So the 9 to 5 was popularized in the US during the 1920s with the auto workers. Just coincidentally, right now, auto workers are like on strike or whatever, or something like that. I don't actually know the story. I just heard that there's some labor stuff going on in the auto world in the US. And the only difference is nowadays the auto industry is like failing, whereas in the 1920s, auto industry was like booming. So not a little bit of a delicate situation there. But essentially 9 to 5s were developed because, well, think about it. Throughout all of history, people have been pretty much working every single day to feed themselves, right? Like if you think of like even the Romans or something, they were working a ton because they wanted to eat food every day, right? And then eventually as time goes on, technology helps us. Technology does great things, right? It makes our lives easier. And then we reach a point where like, hey, we could have like time where we could do nothing. We could like watch TV for like 2 whole days right now, Saturday and Sunday, and nothing bad would happen. We'd still be able to eat with the 9 to 5, right? So we adopted the 9 to 5, and turns out like nothing horrible happened, right? But now we could take that even further, right? Like 1920s that's 100 years ago. We're 100 years later, we're still working the same schedule despite having, I don't know, computers come out, the internet come out. Now we have like freaking AI. Like I do half my stuff with AI now. Like it's actually crazy, but haven't we gotten more efficient? And does that mean we maybe work like 30 hours a week, 20 hours a week, 10 hours a week? I don't know. But even keeping 40 hours, we could already make an improvement by working 4 days a week, 10 hours instead of 5 days a week, 8 hours. That's already like a huge improvement because that's one less commute. For this person, she has like a 2-hour, 2.5-hour commute. That's like 2 extra hours for her week, which is pretty nice, right? And I feel like it's not that difficult to pull off. Now we could go a step further. What about just working from home? You could do 5 days a week working from home. My job, at least, it's a freaking tech job, right? Like I don't have to be at the office. I do all my work on my laptop, and I like have some meetings and stuff, right? But like, could Zoom meetings be possible? Yes, they could be possible. Do I need someone looking over my shoulder? Probably not, no, you know? So I think for those types of jobs where it's truly the same job if you do it remotely versus being in there, like, yeah, just let people work from home, man. It's a lot of time you could save, right? For me, at least, I would have saved 10 hours a week, and that's huge. A little more than 10 hours, because it was probably like hour 15. But I'm with her. 9 to 5s kind of suck. Maybe we should work a little less, but the thing is, you have to provide value enough to still get the same things as before. If you provide the same value as someone in the 1920s, do you deserve to get more stuff now just because time has passed and other technological advances have happened? Like for me, I'm good with computer stuff, right? Apparently I'm good at entertaining people too based on my other channel. So I have developed skills that fit the modern world, but if you haven't developed skills that fit the modern world, do you actually deserve to have more money? Because I'm actually taking advantage of all these advances, whereas other jobs, like who cares if AI came out, right? It doesn't really affect them. But for me, AI allows me to be like twice as productive. Sometimes I don't even know the amount, but it's definitely a lot. So I think you need to leverage what has actually come out in order to really take advantage of that. I think one issue though is that people really like working in cities. This person fell for the city meme. You don't have to work in a city. I know there are more jobs in a city, but if you're not making that much, like don't accept the job. I read an article on this person. Apparently she like reached out to Rolling Stones, or like Rolling Stone reached out to her, and they talked to a bunch of details. And she moved from like, I think South Carolina or something, North Carolina, I don't remember, and then moved to New Jersey and then works in New York. New York is the biggest city in the US for jobs, I think at least. And you don't go 21 New York right away. That's a huge step for a lot of people. That's something that people only dream of. So you're already like at the top in terms of like location, right? So if you are going to do that, you have to make some sacrifices. I'm sorry, but you're doing your marketing job, right? The person from last week, that woman, she sacrificed her dreams and went to be a waitress instead because it paid more. So it's like you're struggling, but you had choices to make and you made that choice. So there are going to be pluses and minuses to every choice. So that's why I feel for her, but I still disagree with her method.
And I know it could be worse. I know I could be working longer, but like I literally get off, it's pitch black. Like I don't have energy. How do you have friends? Like how do you have time to like meet like a guy. I don't know. Like, how do you have time for like dating? Like, I don't have time for anything, and I'm like so stressed out. And I'm also getting my period, so that's why I'm all emotional. But like, am I so dramatic? It's fine.
I'd say like decently dramatic. So one thing that I do respect her on, and this kind of changed my perspective, because when I watched the first 60% of the video or whatever, I was not on her side, even though I hate 9 to 5 culture. But she said, I know other people have it worse. But yeah, her job probably going to be in a nice building with a roof over her head when it's raining, AC'd in the summer, it's going to be heated in the winter, and she has it pretty good, right? Like, despite all this, like, is she quote unquote privileged or whatever? Compared to some people, yes, some people have to work out in the rain and they get paid less than her. So how is that fair, right? So I do like that she realizes other people have it worse than her. I don't think she's like saying like, oh my God, my life sucks. I have it the worst out of everyone. Like, obviously she doesn't think that, which is what made me realize like, hey, let me think about this a little bit. Let me stop like automatically assuming that she's just like some dumb girl that just graduated college and is complaining about working, because that's like most TikTokers, right? And this person's actually a little different, which is kind of refreshing, you know? And then I realized, I was like, wait a minute, I am her. I complained about those same exact things, and I was like, let me do something about it. Let me try and make as much money as possible. Let me save as much money as possible. Maybe I skip out on some like luxurious expenses that other people have.
Go and buy, enjoy it.
Another factor to consider is that when you know other people have it worse and you feel very miserable in your current situation, that makes you feel even worse than you were before. So it is a struggle, even if it doesn't seem that legitimate to people from the outside. Because then you get that guilt coming in. It's kind of like those celebrities that tell you like, oh, like if you were rich and famous, like you wouldn't like it either or something, or it doesn't solve all your problems. It's kind of like that, I would say. Like, yeah, they're still rich and famous, but they're still going through their own issues. And them knowing that other people have it so much harder doesn't make them feel any better about their own. You have a lot of choices you make in life and you are responsible for them. Sometimes you can get unlucky. I think my situation was particularly unlucky because some people are either the partner's son, so they get to choose where their project is or know beforehand, and then other people, they just got lucky, right? Like they happened to get assigned a job that's closer, whereas I got assigned the one further away, even though we're both not the partner's son, right? So luck does have a role to play, but the choices you make after that are so important, or even before, because again, for my job, even though I hated it, no one put a gun to my head and said I have to work there, because we're not in slave times, right? But I was still a wage slave at the end of the day, right? Because I was just like working for a wage. But at least I tried to take advantage of it. I tried to flip the switch back, you know? Like I would not have done that if they did not piss me off, but they did. So I did research this topic a little further. She also posted a second TikTok trying to respond to all the haters. And she was saying how the job market was really tough. And I don't really know, like, if you're in Gen Z right now, it's so easy to stand out from everyone else because your competition, which is other Gen Z people, they're like on TikTok all day. They're worried about stupid nonsense, you know? And it's just like, as long as you're just remotely capable, like you should just be like destroying everyone else, right? Like people would be like begging to hire you because people are scared to hire right now. I work with a lot of people and I find people to work with, and people are very flaky, people are very unprofessional, people don't really know how to do their job because they learned in remote learning instead of in person, and it's really easy to stand out. So I don't know. Like, you're always competing against your peers, right? Whether you like it or not. People hate that word compete because, like, as a society, we should come together, right? But at the end of the day, like, my neighbor hasn't done crap for me ever, right? And I've never done crap for them. So, like, screw them, right? So how can we be on a team, even though we still want, like, good things for society at the same time, right? It's kind of tough to say. Essentially, in her second TikTok, she was saying how she applied to, like, gazillion jobs and only got one person reaching out to her. And it's a marketing position as well, like same as the girl from last week. I found that so funny. But I don't know, she must be doing something wrong because either her degree's useless, either she had no work experience, no internships, not willing to take on an internship, not willing to take the first step to really stand out from everyone else. That would be my guess firsthand. So for example, one person that I worked with 3 years ago, he is doing really well now. He was my thumbnail artist, and he just reached out to me. He said, let me do some thumbnails for you, very cheap. And I was just like, all right, sure. Like, how could I refuse that offer? Because I was doing my own thumbnails, and then this guy got some good stuff, and then we kind of worked together. He helped me, I helped him, and he got hired by some like really nice organizations like within like 6 months or something like that, which sucked for me because I lost a good thumbnail guy, but great for him, right? And what I noticed is that he stood out from everyone else because he took that step forward. I'm not saying work for free, right? But he knows that if he connects with creators who are in the space, he's probably going to be able to leverage that into other things in the future. So obviously that's like a very different example because it was not a full-time job. Obviously I'm a freaking video game YouTuber who's like really cheap, right? But with your job, it's like you have to provide value to the hiring manager, right? And if you don't, they're not going to hire you. There's no reason to, right? So you just got to do that. But yeah, overall, like she was probably bullied a little too hard because people just watch the video, me included, and you just automatically think, yeah, entitled TikTok person complaining about like working, right? And they're lazy, whatever. But made some pretty good points, and I saw myself in that a lot. So kind of two things to think about because again, different from all the other people, I think, because she actually acknowledges that her position is even a good one, not necessarily one of those like super bad ones. But at the same time, like probably could have better time management skills because gets home at 6:15, 6:45, whatever. You have like 5 hours before you go to bed, 4 hours before you go to bed to do like a lot of stuff, right? It's not that hard. But yeah, time management's kind of tricky because sometimes you just want to watch TikTok videos all day. Well, I don't personally watch TikTok, but I know a lot of other people do. But let me know what you think about this person. What do you think about 9 to 5s? How does this person compare to the person from last week? And I promise you, I'm not going to do like a reaction Fridays every week. It just happened that this stuff blew up 2 weeks in a row. And it's like the same exact demographic. So it just made sense to do it this time. But I hope to cover more fun topics on Friday. It's gonna be like fun Fridays and then like a more serious video on Monday. But if you wanna check out the video from last week, if you missed it, I'll leave a link right here for you to check out.